Last year's Vancouver Canucks were kind of bad. I think it was overstated how bad they were because of all the locker room issues, but they were still bad. After a season where they won the Pacific, they then turned around, fought each other all year, had 90 points, missed the playoffs. It was a disappointment. But that's in the past, and we're in a new year now. The NHL season is under 2 weeks away, so I want to take you guys through the Canucks roster and tell you what I'm expecting from every player this season. I'm moving off to the side so I can put their face there. If you want to scrub ahead to any player, you'll be able to see it. They'll be there. We're going to start off with Braden Coots. Coots, I don't think I can get away with not talking about. He's had a very, very good summer. After being drafted 15th overall just back in July, he's already made a name for himself. Looked great at the Canucks Young Stars Tournament. Has looked good in training camp. Looked great in the preseason so far. Already scored 2 goals. And he's really making a case to make the opening day lineup. My expectations for him, well, I started off with him because if he makes it, I don't think he's going to play more than the 9 games. It's kind of hard to make a prediction when it's only 9 games, but just for fun, I'll say like 2 goals, 2 assists. That's what I'm going with. And then moving on to the more guaranteed players. I'll start with Linus Karlsson and Jonathan Lekarimäki together. I feel like when we have a fully healthy lineup, there's really possibly only room for one of these guys at a time, and I think they're going to be battling each other for that final spot in the lineup throughout the whole year. You get some different stuff from both players, but both of them are also sort of similar in that they can give you that depth scoring. Now, Lekarimäki's ceiling is obviously a lot higher, but Linus Karlsson has had some very good years in the AHL, and he might be more NHL ready right now. I'm feeling like Karlsson's probably going to earn more of a lineup spot than Lekarimäki, but I think part of that is just because of his experience in defensive play. I feel like Linus Karlsson, if he plays a full season, can get 10 goals, 10 assists, 20 points. Lekarimäki, I think, could do better with scoring, especially because he'll get power play time. So I think he'll get 15 goals, 15 assists if he were to play a full season. Moving on to Drew O'Connor. We got Drew O'Connor from the same trade that got us Marcus Pettersson. We got rid of Danton Heinen. We got rid of Vinny Desharnais. Great stuff. Drew O'Connor hasn't been all that impressive as a Vancouver Canuck. Now, he has been a good penalty killer. He's a fast player. He's a big guy. He has given us some goals. He had a penalty shot overtime winner against San Jose. But other than that, he just kind of seems like a guy out there. I don't think his scoring is going to go up that much. I feel like 10 goals, 15 assists is probably around what he's worth. But he's going to definitely have to step up defensively, especially on the penalty kill now that Pius Suter's gone. If we can get some good defensive play out of him, I'll take that. And then there's Teddy Bluger, who's kind of the same case scenario. Bluger had a terrible stretch in about December, January territory last season. He wasn't scoring at all. His 5v5 play was bad. He was getting outplayed. But throughout the whole season, he stayed consistent on the penalty kill. He was a great penalty killer for us. A huge reason why we were top 3 in the league. I don't know if I can expect a whole lot more out of him than that defensive play. He's not a scorer. He's a pretty good fourth-line center. He's still a good player, even though there were definitely times in the summer where I was hoping he would be the cap dump over Dakota Joshua. But he's useful. He could be good. I think 10 goals, 15 assists again. He's pretty consistently in that 25 to 30 point range. And then we move on to Aatu Ratu. Now, you guys know I love Aatu Ratu. He might not earn a spot on the opening day roster because of Braden Coots, but he's going to play a lot for the Canucks this year. He might start off the year as the extra forward, but he will get into games. He's pretty smart defensively already. He's got solid hockey IQ, and he can score. Late last year, he was really turning on the physicality, especially playing on a line with Dakota Joshua and Kiefer Sherwood. And he was scoring, too. He ended the season on a very high note. It was 7 points in 11 games. That's solid. A big thing about Ratu is his face-off wins. We are not a good face-off team anymore. We traded Miller, who was a good face-off guy. We traded Horvat, who's a great face-off guy. And we didn't re-sign Lindholm, who's also a great face-off guy. Now we have Elias Pettersson, who is not a good face-off guy. Philip Hedl, who is not a good face-off guy. Teddy Bluger, who's not a good face-off guy. And then Aatu Ratu, who's great. I don't know exactly what to expect from Aatu Ratu for a full NHL season, so I'll play it pretty conservative at 25 points. But I think if he gets the right contributions from his line mates, he can absolutely go up and be a 30-point player. He was roughly on pace for 30 points last year, and I think this is the year that he's going to be a full-time NHLer, so I guess time will tell. And then from there, we have Nils Hoglander, another guy who obviously I love. Unfortunately, he's out for 8 to 10 weeks because of the surgery he had on his lower body. So it's kind of tough to predict. You don't know exactly how many games he's going to play this season, and even then, you don't know how ready he's going to be when he comes back from that injury. It could take him some time to get up to speed like it has before. I do think he was on track to have a better year than he did last year. He did finish last season very well. He was a great 5v5 player, but throughout the season, he wasn't at his best. I think he was going to be more that Nils Hoglander that we knew 2 seasons ago, but it's really tough to predict now. If we say he gets in about 60 games, I still think he can maybe crack 30 points. He'll be a goal scorer again. His finishing was unsustainably bad last season. But again, it's tough to predict how good he's going to be when he comes back from injury, and it's tough to predict exactly when he's coming back from injury, exactly how many games he's going to play. And then we go on to Kiefer Sherwood. He really made a name for himself last season on the Canucks. He was one of the few bright spots on the team. He had a great season, broke the NHL hits record. When we signed him to a 2-year deal worth $1.5 million, I looked at it and I was like, yeah, you know what, that's a pretty good contract for a bottom 6 guy. I'm not expecting a whole lot from him, but he'll fill a role in that fourth line. He'll be a physical guy. We need physical. And he just blew the expectations out of the water. I don't think anyone could have seen that coming. But man, he has a great shot. He's a great playmaker. He is an all-around very talented player. And I'm excited that we have him for another season at least. I do think his production's probably going to go down a little bit, just because last year his production was like really high compared to his previous NHL totals. But I don't think it drops off that bad. In the 15-20 goal range, in the 15-20 assist range, probably around 35 points. He's also an important penalty killer for this team. And I think he brings a lot to the table besides the points, to the point where he can score like 30 points. And we'd still be fine. You know he's going to hit a lot. He needs to hit a lot. I love the hitting. It's so fun. Now we get into the top 6. And the top 6 is 100% the biggest weak spot on the team. Let's start with Filip Chytil. Chytil is a question mark just in terms of his health. He's had concussion issues all throughout his career to this point, his young career. And it's really tough to assume he's going to be in the lineup for all 82 games this season. Of course, you hope he will. But even if he is he really a 2C? He has looked good in the preseason so far. He looks fast. He looks like he could fill that role well. But it is kind of scary to think that if he gets injured, our center depth after that, someone has to play 2C. I think that no matter how much time he misses, he's probably around the half a point per game range. He probably won't get a lot of power play 1 time. But he's a good player. He's a young player, smart, fast. We need a guy like that. I just don't know if I want that kind of guy to be the 2C on the team. But I think I was just spoiled by having Bo Horvat and JT Miller and Elias Pettersson all on the same team. Then we go on to Evander Kane. I didn't love this trade. I wasn't a big fan of this trade. But over time, it's sort of grown on me. I still don't think he's that good of a player. I don't think he's really a top 6 talent. He's getting power play 1 time, and I feel like that could be given to a lot of other people. But here is how Evander Kane can win me over. Protect Filip Chytil. That's it. And beat up Jason Dickinson. But mainly the protecting Filip Chytil. We need Filip Chytil to be in the lineup, and Evander Kane is likely going to play on Chytil's wing. We need Evander Kane to make sure that Filip Chytil does not sustain any bad injuries. He just needs to intimidate. Evander Kane is a bodyguard this season. Beyond that, he'll probably still score 20 goals. He's a 20-goal scorer. I feel like people put too much weight onto the 20 goals, though. Like, it's good, but I feel like he still subtracts more than he adds from being in the lineup. Just because his defensive play isn't that good. He's old. He's slow. It's nice to have a physical guy, a guy who will fight. If he does fight Jason Dickinson in late October, I'll be on his side. Then we go on to Connor Garland. Now, Connor Garland is an interesting player on this team. The fan base loves him, rightfully so, but I feel like some of the fan base thinks he's better than he is. He's a great player, but he's not exactly a first-line kind of guy. He's been consistently around 50 points in all of his seasons as a Canuck so far, and I think we can expect that trend to continue. He does give a lot of heart, but he also goes on long stretches where he doesn't really provide a whole lot, and then he just comes out, has a really good game. The whole fan base is like, oh, this is our best forward. Connor Garland's our best forward. That's not the case. But he's a great guy to have. Even if that trade looks so bad. Like incredibly bad. Like terrible, awful bad. But it's not Garland's fault. It's Benning's fault. I think it's safe to assume Garland will be at the 50-point range. I hope that he gets onto power play 1 over Evander Kane at some point. And then the top line. We'll start with Jake DeBrusk, obviously. The Canucks signed him last season. He was our goal leader for this past season at 28. He had a decent season. The one thing about Jake DeBrusk, and I know that you guys are all expecting me to say this word, is that he's incredibly streaky. You will hear that all season long. Shorthouse will say it all season long. The media will say it. He just goes on long streaks where he scores a goal every game, and you're like, oh my god, this guy's the greatest player of all time. And then you have like a month where he does nothing. But he's still an effective player, and I'm really happy we signed him. He seems like a great guy. I think he's going to step up his game more this season. A lot of the players around him aren't hating each other anymore. I want to assume the best for Jake DeBrusk. And a couple seasons ago in Boston, he had somewhere around 50 points in 60 games, which is great production. And his analytics were fantastic that year. That's what I want to see from him this year. This might be high, but because he's on that first line, because he's on that first power play unit, I want to go 30 goals, 30 assists for Jake DeBrusk. 60 points, first time in his career. I can see it happening. It's possible. It might be high, but I know he can do it. He's proven he can do that in the past. And with the team around him clicking better, like we can assume they will, I think he's equipped to get the 60 points. And then we have Brock Boeser. I definitely did not expect to be talking about Brock Boeser as a Canuck, considering for the last couple months of the season and off-season, it just seemed like he was gone. They had a full year to sign Brock Boeser, and they waited until half an hour into free agency. That's a good contract, too. I like the contract. I've been critical about some of the contracts they've handed out recently, mainly to goalies. But that Brock Boeser contract, I'm a fan of. Keeps him in Vancouver for a long time. He's still going to be a good goal scorer. This year, I do think he ups his production. He was great at the start of last year, and then Tanner Jeannot hit him up high. And after he missed time with injury, his production predictably dropped off. But he brought it back a little bit at the end of the season. He had some very clutch goals. That one against St. Louis, if we won that game against St. Louis, I would have watched that goal like 1,000 times by now. I do think as long as he stays healthy, he's going to have a good season. Because he's our second best forward, my expectations for him are going to be very high. I want him to get 35 goals, 35 assists. And you might be wondering, why do I have him at the same assist total as goals? But he's shown he can be a good playmaker in the past. That COVID season where nobody did anything besides him really showed that he can drive a line. He can be the best player on a line. We need our second best forward to be a 70-point player. Even that is kind of low. I did find it interesting that they gave him a penalty killing shift in preseason. I'm scared, bro. There's people out here penalty killing that ain't never penalty killed before. And then we move on to the most interesting player in the Canucks lineup, Elias Pettersson, because you do not know what you are going to get from Elias Pettersson this season. Now, optimists like myself think that he's going to be better. Some people think he's just bad now. The reason I think he's going to be better is obviously because he's had the offseason to train, he's gotten bigger, gained those pounds, and he looked good in preseason. He seems motivated, he seems confident, he seems like he wants this now. A big problem last year was that he didn't really seem like he was bought in. He didn't seem like he was all with it mentally, and I think that's going to make a big difference this year. So I'm going to go pretty bold here. Now, some people are going to go even bolder, have him at 100 points. I'm not going to go quite there because I don't think we're going to be scoring a whole lot of goals this year. But I'm predicting 35 goals and 50 assists. An 85-point season for Elias Pettersson. Gets him over point per game. That's what we need from him. If he's going to make that much money, we need him to be over point per game. That much money should get you a 100-point player, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because he doesn't have a lot of talent around him. If he can get to point per game, he can silence the haters. We can make playoffs. I think a lot of our playoff hopes hinge on how Elias Pettersson does this season because our offense does not look that scary. It can, though, if he plays to his best ability. I think he's also going to get penalty killing time this year because I don't think Philip Hedl or Ratu are earning that PK2 spot over him. And I think that's a good thing. He's a great defensive player. He needs to continue that defensive play, which has always been steady, even when his scoring is low. He just needs to make sure his confidence is there. He needs to be scoring. We need him to score. You need to score, Elias. And we can be okay. I believe in him. I believe in you. I believe in you, man. You can do it. All right, let's move on to the defense. First of all, we have that third right D spot, which I think a lot of guys will be cycling through. The main guys are going to be Elias Pettersson, Victor Mancini, and P.O. Joseph. They all bring different things to the table. Elias Pettersson is a physical guy, big guy. He's tough. He's likely to still get that opening day spot, but I don't think he's going to have it all year long because Victor Mancini has been showing out. And Victor Mancini, while not as good defensively as Elias Pettersson, is worlds beyond him offensively. And on a pairing with Derek Forbort, it could work. I really love Victor Mancini's offensive play, his prowess. His skating is great. He's looked so good in preseason. I'm very glad that we got him instead of Ryan Lindgren. And then you have P.O. Joseph, who's a more experienced guy in the league. I mean, he's still young, but he's had more NHL time than those other two guys. It's hard to predict what their stat line will be because we don't know how many games they're going to play, but I think that third right D spot is going to be safe. I don't have a lot of doubts in any of them. I'm sure one of them can fill it well. Then we can go on to that D partner, Derek Forbort. Forbort last year, I had to defend like crazy. I wasn't a fan of the signing at first, but then when he played games, he's so boring. It's amazing. When Derek Forbort was on the ice, nobody scored a goal for either team. And that's kind of just what you want from a third pairing defenseman. We don't need offense. I'm actually right here going to show some analytics from Evolving Hockey this past season because it's really funny to look at where the offensive bars are and where the defensive bars are. He was one of the worst offensive players in the league last season, but that's not what we need from him. We need steady defensive play, and that's what he gave us. He was great on the penalty kill. He was great even strength. No goals happened with him on the ice besides that one where he got walked by Cole Perfetti. And I'm really glad we brought him back. Veteran guy, great defensively. I think we're lucky to get a goal out of him at any point this season. But if he can continue the trend that he had last season, we're in good shape on that bottom pair. And then we go on to the top four, starting with Tyler Myers. Now, the fan opinion on Tyler Myers has shifted dramatically over the years. He used to be the most hated player on the team, and now he's just generally loved by the fan base. I still think people outside the fan base in hockey don't understand that he is a good player. And he looks really good with Quinn Hughes. He's going to be a 20-point guy again. You can probably guarantee that as long as he stays in the lineup and doesn't get suspended for being tall. I do like that he's used his height more to his advantage recently. He has a long stick, and he needs to be using that. Don't make any jokes there. He has a long hockey stick. His hockey stick is long. Stop making jokes. But I have a lot of faith in Tyler Myers, and he's on a more reasonable contract now than he was before. That's $6 million. Not great. The pressure's off him, and I think he's a great player in the lineup. Next is Marcus Pettersson. We acquired in that trade after trading JT Miller. When you look back at it, trading JT Miller and getting Philip Hedl, Victor Mancini, and Marcus Pettersson basically as the return, it's pretty good. Marcus Pettersson immediately took on a more defensive role as a Canuck than he did on the Penguins. He was more offensive on the Penguins just because they have no one. But he settled into a defensive role quite well, and he just didn't score a goal for us for a while. I really love Marcus Pettersson. He makes our defense look so much better. And we still have yet to see a healthy Quinn Hughes with Marcus Pettersson in the lineup. And our defense was already good. I think Pettersson will be still around the 25-point range, but we just need him to play solid defensively. We need him to be able to get the pucks out of his zone, and I'm happy with that. Then we go to Phil Pronik, who I think is really underappreciated league-wide. It's kind of funny how he performs better without Quinn Hughes in the lineup. He's probably the only person on the team who does. But every time Quinn Hughes misses time, Pronik steps up. He looks like he can be a first-option defenseman on this team. I'm feeling 35 points this year. I'm hoping he doesn't miss time again this year because it took him a while to get back to speed after injury. But he needs to be shooting the puck a lot because that shot is so good. He's also steady defensively. He will penalty kill. He can do a lot for us. I think Phil Pronik is really underrated. A lot of people, even in the fan base, just don't talk about him. I think he deserves more love. And then there's Quinn Hughes. He's going to be Quinn Hughes. All right, let's go on to the goalies. Thatcher Demko signed a quite lucrative extension that kicks in next year. Don't know if I was the biggest fan of that given his injury history. But if he does stay healthy, which is a big if, he's worth that contract. And that's really the biggest thing. Is he going to be healthy this year? The workload will be a little bit off of him. He can't be a 50-plus game guy anymore. But if he stays healthy, if he doesn't play too many games, I think he's comfortably a 915-plus save percentage guy, especially behind that defense. And then there's Kevin Lankinen, who not really a fan of that contract either. 5 years, $4.5 million for a guy who you want to be your backup goalie, kind of a lot. I feel like Shelovs maybe could have filled that role. I know Shelovs was bad at the NHL level last year, but he was still young, and he cost a lot less money. Lankinen basically just needs to give us the opportunity to win games when he's in the lineup. We cannot be starting Demko a lot of games. We need Lankinen to get in the net for 30-plus games, and we need him to get us wins. He was really good at the start of last season, which is what earned him that contract, and then the wheels just fell off the bus. He was not good at the end of the season. That game against the Rangers gives me nightmares. I do think he can be a solid 1B, but I still don't know if I like the contract. So that's how I feel about all of the individual players in the lineup. I'll quickly talk about what I think of the team. I think it's good. I don't love the top 6. Luckily, we still have money. We can accrue that cap space over time, make a splash at the deadline. And if we can get more scoring on this team, if we get just one more top 6 guy, I think we're definitely a playoff team. I think we're already going to be a playoff team. We can battle LA for that 3rd spot in the Pacific. Their defense does not look great. Or we can be in the wildcard race against Minnesota, Utah, those teams. A lot of people are underrating the Canucks this season. I think they forget that we still have Quinn Hughes. The one thing I've told myself is that even if I don't like the way our offense looks, if we have Quinn Hughes, we always have a chance. And hopefully we have a lot more Quinn Hughes to go. I'm really excited for this year. I think it's going to be interesting. You have a lot of guys battling for spots in the lineup. That 3rd right D spot, those 4th line spots. I think it's good to have the competition in the lineup. So I'm thinking we make the playoffs this year. I'm not sure if it's going to be that division spot or a wildcard spot, but I think we're going to be a lot better. We were a 90-point team last year with basically everything going wrong. All we need to do is add like 3 more wins, maybe stop losing in overtime, and we can be okay. And we better make the playoffs because if we don't, I don't know if Quinn Hughes is coming back. But yeah, that'll do it for me. Let me know in the comments if I got anything wrong. Let me know who you're excited to watch on the Canucks this season. And Elias Pettersson, please be your normal self. Please, I can't do another season of that, man. Please. All right, that'll do it. Thanks for watching.